the Gulf disaster, despite all the efforts to disguise it, despite all the efforts to obfuscate the truth about it, which we've seen on almost a daily basis. What can't be disguised is the consequence of this. Let's not forget that 11 people were killed. They gave their lives to their jobs. All the people along the coast who depend on fishing for a livelihood, they could be wiped out. And the economic consequences are going to spread over the whole country. But maybe we need it to be that bad to wake us up and put pressure on these companies and the government, and particularly those politicians in government that are in collusion with the energy companies who send a lot of money to them for their elections. It's time to cut that out, because we're the ones that are paying for it. We pay the cost, not them. When I hear some of the energy companies advertising themselves as conservation, if I hear Chevron saying we're in the human energy business, I want to throw up. And when BP or other like companies put millions of dollars to put the wool over our eyes, it's about time to just cut all that. As a kid, I worked in the oil fields when it was Standard Oil before it became Chevron. And my dad worked there in the accounting department. And I know what it's like when a person's job, their own livelihood, depends on having to hold that line, and how difficult it is when the ethic of a company goes against some of the dangers attached to it. And that's tough, because that's the job you've got. It may be the only job you can have. So it was a hard thing for me. It was very painful when I worked in the oil fields as a roustabout. And I saw what was going on. And it even at that young age of 15, 16, bothered me. Because I could see what was happening up there is that the propaganda of oil companies and the lobbyists that they hire were selling the idea that it was going to be great for the economy, great for everybody. And I saw it differently. When you stop and think about the spills that we've seen over decades, they've come on a regular basis. And when you stop and think where they are, they've been in Santa Barbara, I think that was 1969. You had Brittany in the late 70s, Exxon Valdez, 1989. You stop and think about all the oil that was spilled during those debacles. Some of it still hasn't been cleaned up. The damage that it caused wildlife, the damage that it caused local fishermen, how it affected local industries, in some cases causing some people to move, to relocate. Pretty significant. So I don't think there's any question that there's a context for this. It's clear, and the history provides it for us. But one thing I don't think anybody wants is to keep repeating it. They're going to say, no, it's really important. We have to have offshore drilling. We have to continue drilling, you know, despite this disaster. That's too bad, but we're going to fix things. Everything's going to be okay, but we're going to drill, and it's going to bring energy to us, and it's going to create jobs. The usual sloganeering that goes on, but it's not the truth. And I think the oil spill is going to at least help us get to the truth. And then what? I think it's time for the American people to take a little bit charge of their own livelihood and say, let's stop this. Let's move to a clean energy policy, which is available to us. The cost of natural energy is coming down, as we've seen with solar, wind. There are other ways to do it. There are other solutions, and we have to get that word out and stop listening to the self-interested propaganda of oil companies and their parrots in Congress. It's bad for our health. If there's a lesson in all of this, is that we have to get off of our dependence on oil.